All right, we're going to talk about the fourth dimension today, right? So, fourth dimension is the three other dimensions: length, width, depth, but you add time to it. All right. Easiest way to think about this, and the way that we always do it, is when we leave to go to somewhere to meet something. To catch a movie, to meet a friend, to get to the bus stop before the bus shows up. The thing is, if we go to any of those places an hour early, the situation isn't right. The friend's not there. The bus isn't there, right? So, fourth dimensionally, we're using time to create an event that relies on the other three things, but the time specifies when everything comes together. That's the easiest way to look at the fourth dimension and time, right? The deeper side of this, because it goes much deeper, so start with that. The deeper side of this is when we start realizing that the only time there is right now, this moment. The moment that you exist in is the only moment that exists, period, right? So, as you think about this, anything you think about in the past is not in the past. It's occurring right now in your mind in this moment. The memory is in this moment. The memory that did happen doesn't exist, right? It's gone. That past is gone. The only time is now. So when you bring that memory up, you're bringing it into now. Same thing with the future. When you think about where you have to be in an hour, you have to make it to that bus in an hour, you have to leave in an hour to get on the highway to make it to your work or whatever. The thing is, that future does not exist yet either. So that future only is registering in the current moment, the moment you're in right now. So the fourth dimension, you have to realize that everything is happening now. There is no actual time outside of now. So that also means that whatever we are thinking about the past is editable by what we're thinking about that past moment in the now, because this is the now. And that's where Neville Goddard talks about rewriting the past. Rewrite it how you want to rewrite it in your head. There is no truth to what happened because that's gone. You might remember it a certain way, and a lot of times that happens. We're like, oh, you're with your best friend and you're like, remember when you slipped on that ice and fell and you broke your wrist, and the person's like, what are you talking about? That was Janet, the other friend that was with you. You totally forgot it was Janet. You thought it was this friend, Cindy, right? So the thing is, your memories only happen right now, and since you don't have the physical proof, you're anticipating what you remember to be correct. So again, that whole thing about the only time is right now is it might not be accurate. That also means that the things we see coming in the future that we're afraid of, that we're worried about, that we're trying to avoid, things like, oh, I need to leave now or I'll be late for work, right? And you know how you're planning to drive to work, you know how long it usually takes, but you're planning it. So the thing is, you might leave on time, planning for that future, that time that doesn't exist yet, and you hit traffic, you hit construction, right? Slows you up, changes time. So it changes your projection. So it changes what happens right now. Okay, so you think, I'm going to leave 5 minutes earlier in case that happens. I'm going to be all clever and I'm going to beat the universe at its own game, right? Well, so you leave 5 minutes early. Well, it turns out that 5 minutes puts you ahead of traffic. It puts you ahead of everybody else that's trying to get down to work at the same time. So all of a sudden you get to work in 20 minutes, shorter time than you planned. So you're like, what? I planned to be there on time. I left 5 minutes earlier based on my time plan, and yet I got there 20 minutes early. That seems kind of weird, right? The future didn't come out the way you thought either. The time didn't exist. So where we get stuck with this thing with time is we can't project into the future what's actually going to happen. We can plan to do something. We can plan that time's going to do a certain thing, but it can change. So that fourth dimensional aspect of the past might not be correct, and the fourth dimensional projection of the future might not work out the way we want it to, right? So here's a way to think about things, right? So you can get this. When you put time into this thing, it projects what you think happened or will happen. But the thing is, you're projecting it from right now, from right this second, from this moment. So the rabbit hole gets deep when you start realizing that you can change time, because what you remember about the past, you can rewrite. Neville Goddard, right? You can change what that past meant, which changes who you are now and how you think about yourself now. Okay, you can also project into the future what you want the future to be, how you want it to come out, how things should happen. And when you project that into the future of the things like, I'm going to make it to work on time, and you're happy, right? The fact is, you change your perception right now of not being in a rush, not being in a hurry. When you get on the freeway and there's traffic, instead of being like, oh, I knew I was going to be late, you're like, I'm still going to get to work on time. And you find ways. You get off the freeway and find a different route. You get around traffic because you see the opportunities, you see what can change. So by changing the projections and the memories, you change who you are. And when you change who you are in the present moment, it changes what happens. It also changes what happened. Thing is, there's no proof. You can always remember that it was your friend Cindy that fell and broke her wrist, even if she's the one that tells you, no, it wasn't me. And then it turns out, sometimes this happens, that she was thinking of a different time and she did fall and break her wrist. She calls you an hour later and she's like, oh, I remember what you're talking about. I thought you meant the time Janet was skiing and broke her wrist. No, that time we were bar hopping and fell, that was, I mean, I didn't break my wrist, I broke my hand. But, you know, so sometimes changing the past up here actually will change the past that is remembered. You might be right, you might be wrong. Or maybe there's no proof and you go through life thinking, oh, I remember that. Man, I had such great friends. You don't even think about the past in the fact of who broke what. You think about the fact that was a great night, I had so much fun, I miss my friends, and you call your friends and you don't even talk to them about that night. But all of a sudden you're talking to your friends again, right? Future. Oh, it's going to work out for me. It's going to be great. Everything's working out for me. Man, no matter what I do, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to get that promotion. I'm going to, you know, start creating content that everybody watches. You know, some of us are planning that right now. But that's the thing. What you want to do with that fourth dimensional aspect of what you think time did or is going to do for you, and who you are and how that's going to affect that, that's where that fourth dimension gets really deep. You start to change things. You start to look at yourself differently, and the opportunities in your world start to become visible. So the fourth dimensional stuff is very simple. I'm going to catch my bus on time. I'm going to make it to work on time. You're planning to hit a certain point, right? But if you look at it, oh, I'm going to do this and it's going to be great. I'm going to do that and it's great. Oh, back then that was so much fun. You change who you are. You change how you see the world. And that will make that time work for you instead of against you.